Hello, my name is Tommy Howard. I'm the founder of the Harmony program, which is an effective learning system. I'm going to talk to you today very briefly about how we can solve the problem in our schools. Some of the problems in our schools include that 47% of all minorities fail to graduate in 4 years. We're talking about from freshman to senior in senior level high school. Between 1980 and 2009, the juvenile arrest rate increased by 33%. What's significant about that is that juvenile incarceration costs an average of $320 per day. That averages all the states in the U.S. As of 2011. Some states would be more, some states would be less. 75% of the prisoners in state prisons across the nation are dropouts, which we can see as a barometer for many of the problems that we're experiencing in our school system. Traditional methods of dealing with these problems have been to either hire more police, which is an external method that has not been effective in the past, or we've decided to put more pressure on teachers. We have an increasing problem with this because we have teachers who are given more and more pressures and less pay, and are finding that profession is starting to be one that is not as desired. We also have an issue with our traditional methods by developing more tutoring programs. While on the surface it seems to be a good option, but in fact it becomes quite evident that option has not been successful with the large number of schools not meeting the No Child Left Behind AYP. Also, we've tried approaches that deal with paying children to go to school. We find this mostly utilized on the East Coast. We also see some options of just avoid dealing with the problem and just find someone else to blame. This is probably more of the upper level way of addressing the issue. This goes into more administrators or politicians. Another method is just to throw in the towel and revert to survival mode. And many in the education profession have actually reverted to this philosophy, which ultimately creates woes for all of us and them. I want to talk a little bit about the effective learning approach. The effective learning approach was developed by the affective domain research done largely by Howard Gardner at the University of California at Berkeley. He came out and developed that concept. I highly encourage you to read his findings. But we took 106 students from the second worst district in the nation, found actually in central Indiana. This was one of the environments where you see the typical sagging of the pants amongst African Americans and other minorities, foul language, defiant behavior, and even low test scores. Within this environment, we did various effective domain mentoring and learning techniques, and we found with our test results that defiant behavior is reduced by 51%. We also discovered that suspension reduced by 62%, and that the Gates reading scores increased by almost 2 grade points. Now, this is significant in that this is the test that is given to determine what reading classes students will take. We also discovered that the desire to attend college increased by 89%. What is significant about all of this is no participants were reported to have dropped out of school. Mind you that this approach was done within 2 hours, 1 hour per session for 2 sessions a week within a 10-week period, which means that the cost factor was astronomically less than what we see in our traditional approaches to these issues. This is built on the structure of our system, which deals with behavioral education, which we have divided into 2 components, one being interpersonal development and the other being interpersonal discovery. Interpersonal development heavily deals with social interaction, the ability to communicate, the ability to recognize social empathy, also cultural knowledge. This would deal with your cultural diversity. This also deals with cultural sensitivity. Under the area of interpersonal discovery, we deal with self-actualization, we deal with emotions, we deal with emotional health, we also deal with other behaviors that are not normally considered to be things that we deal with in our school system. Actually, what's happened is we find that many of the young people who have issues usually have them in the interpersonal area. How do we get there at this point? We use our interactive method approach. We combine that with educational gaming, and we also interject substance abuse prevention and also gang prevention, and also teachings against addiction. Once we've accomplished this within a relatively short period of time, we actually achieve our students crossing over to Harmony. Thank you.